Yeah, this is Norm, and I'm glad you asked me to do this on a video. Then it's probably a little bit more explaining to you just exactly what's happening. I've got it set up now on my Mach 3. It's a demo unit, but I planned on getting it set up and then seeing that it worked, and then I would go ahead and purchase the license for it. I've got it set up to my unit, and I'll bring my stuff over there to show you, but I wanted to first show you on this that I do have the Mach unit and what I did. As you can see, it's flashing right now because the unit is not on, and it sits right next door to this over on the side past the wall here. Anyway, I went and I wanted to show you that I configured it exactly the way you had asked with ports and pins. I did check the COM port in the control panel and made sure that everything was okay, that is my COM port thing. I checked it. It was already checked. It seemed to know that. Then I went to motor outputs and I put in the axes which you had required on your poop sheet that you had sent along, where they needed the pins and the steps, and I filled in that. Did not check the low drive. And then I also put on the spindle later these two units here, but I had no pins to know what pin it was to be put into. Then of course I went to the outputs and put in the E stops wherever it's at. Oh, it must be on the other one. Input signals. There it is, the E stop. I checked that, and that was in there okay. Alright, then I went to configuration, okayed that, and then I went to configuration and put in the motor tuning, which you had asked, and on the x-axis, it was 400, 1800, 200, 3 and 1, and on the Y was the same thing, and on the Z it was a little different. It was 400, 700, and 100, and I put that in, and everything seemed to be okay. And at that point, when I had done all that, they said, well, Mach said go ahead and test and see if you should have something running at this time. So I put on the jog, as you can see, and so I turn the unit on, and I get, I got to reset first. I reset and it's okay. I jog. Can you hear that? The Z-axis jog is working. The Y is working. The X not. The spindle is working too. So let me drag over here and show you what's happening with the unit as I proceed from this point. I'll move the camera back so you can see what's happening, and I'll get to that other part with the thing off and show you what I done there. Okay, number one is I'm going to move this up and over here. I won't move very far, so won't worry about the light. Okay, let me see if I got my picture okay, and it appears to be for that. So let me show you that they are moving when I jog. I jog, the Z-axis, the Y-axis, the X, nothing. Alright, now let me go to another part. Let me show you this. The Z-axis, the spindle works great. I mean, it clicks, as it goes. And the Y-axis clicks, the table moves, and it clicks. This one, it's really, really hard to move it. Extremely hard. And the only thing I know is that it's like frozen, locked up. Not totally frozen, but it is hard to move. Okay, my spindle on manual, where am I? We got the spindle in? Oh, there. You can see it's moving, like slowed it down. It works okay when I move this over here. So now let me go to this unit here and show you what's taking place. But let me turn that off because this one gets a little hot when I leave it on. Alright, here's what I've done with the unit, and we'll go from there. Start with number one is let me get it up higher so I can really look at it looking down. And zoom in. And this light is too much. But then again, it needs it. I don't know. Just kind of like overdoes it here. Okay. Start with number one. If you look over here, right there, get focused up there, guy. Okay, you can see that I added this pin arrangement. They don't touch, by the way. The wire for the switch on and off for switching the spindle. And I put it in the switch down here and plugged it in. Well, come on. There we go. And I marked it in the back. The switch itself, if you look, let me take the camera off and then maybe you see a little better. The switch I mounted on the back here, single pole double flow, manual, auto, manual, auto. Also I put in a probe right here. Zoom back a little. There's the probe right here. Right there. I mounted it in here. And it's for this probe here that I got off of the eBay. And it suggested that in order to make it work, I have to go and get Big Tex was the best one. Big Tex probe software. So I got that, and I'll explain what happened there. Now the probe I wired down here. I took the board out. I took your board out, and that was no problem. I followed some instructions that somebody, that Lori or Laura, whatever his name is, that does a lot of stuff on there, he changed it to a tiny G. But anyway, I pulled the board out and put it in there very carefully. Everything went back the same way that it was originally. And I wired that to it, but however, I didn't know what the real polarity is. You know, what is ground, what is not ground. I can't figure that out. So I just wired this way. So I don't know, maybe that's screwed up. Then also getting back to the PWM, I wired up, as you can see right here, another little adapter to the 2 PWM thing that run from here over to the PWM over here on the board, on the driver board. Now, it's got 3 pins instead of 2, like this one over here has. But anyway, it has ground, PMW, and then a VVC or something to that extent. So I only wired it to PMW and ground. So I don't know if that has any effect. It didn't seem to bother it. What it does when I move the switch over, when I'm in the unit and it's working, the switch this pedal here works okay when I'm in manual and the motor moves. When I move it to auto, it doesn't. The motor just stays still. It's not frozen up, nothing. It just doesn't do nothing. And I try to do some stuff with the spindle, and but I didn't know what pins I was going to have for that, because on the connector back here that goes to the unit. So I was confused there, and so it didn't work, and I thought I would eventually find that out. So anyway, after wiring all this up, making the changes, E-stop worked, everything else worked okay. And then I proceeded to go to the board and log in or put in the software for the text, big text for the probe. I hadn't done that yet. Up to this point, everything seemed to be working okay. That I noticed. No problem whatsoever. I jogged around, did some stuff, and then I went ahead and I put in the software which was required by Texas, big text, for the probe, and fiddled around with that, and nothing seemed to go. And I turned on my unit and tried to see whether I could get the probe to work. I plugged in the probe and nothing seemed to work at all. It just seemed to do nothing. And then I happened to go to Z. Z was working and Y was working. And then suddenly X wasn't working. I thought, well, what's going on here? X is not working. So I went over and I went to turn X motor, and it was like frozen. It wouldn't move at all, just stuck. And I thought, whoa. And then anytime I tried to move it at all, it just wouldn't go. So I felt the motor was hot too, so I turned it off, let it cool. I made several attempts to try to change the parameters on it, but nothing seemed to make any difference. So that's where I stand at this point. And any help that I can get from you in regards to this, if I have to remove the board, I can do that. I know I'm a dangerous electronic guy. I got a little experience in it, but not enough to be up to date with all the digital stuff. But I fool around with a lot of electronics, and I can do things, but like I say, I'm not into digital. I'm trying to learn a little bit. It's too confusing. So I'm not going to go there, but I can take the board out and turn it into you if that you feel is the problem. Or maybe you can talk me through what I'm doing wrong somewhere else. But I've got a guy making me a program, a rather elaborate program for what I need to do for one person. And he said he's going to have it ready by in a week or two. He'll have it completely done. That I haven't learned how to program yet, but anyway, too many other things to do. So that's my story. If you can help me, I'd appreciate it. I'll stop this, get it on the YouTube, and get it over to you privately, okay? Talk to you later. Thank you.